Hello friends, in this video we will discuss about simple diffusion. So simple diffusion is the movement of substances from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. That is, diffusion is the process of movement of substances from high to low concentration. So diffusion happens in liquids as well as in gases. And this is because in these liquid as well as gases, these particles can move rapidly. So let us explain diffusion with the help of a diagram. So as you can see in the diagram, the concentration is high here and the movement occurs from high concentration to low concentration. So the diffusion is the movement of substances from high concentration to low concentration. Now let us discuss some of the common examples of diffusions from our everyday life. We know that when a tea bag is immersed in a cup of hot water, it diffuses into water and the color changes. When we spray a perfume, it gets diffused into the air and by which we can sense its odor. When we dissolve sugar in water, the sweetness of sugar remains the same throughout the water, even if we do not stir it. So when we lit an incense stick, its smoke gets diffused into the air and spreads throughout the room. So we know that when we add a dried noodles with some hot water, the dried noodles turn soft. So this is also an example of diffusion. So these are the common examples of diffusion that we see in our daily life. Now let us discuss the factors affecting simple diffusion. So the first factor is concentration gradient. So when a concentration difference occurs between two systems, that is, in one system if the concentration is high and in the other system the concentration is low, so the molecule starts to diffuse. So the rate of diffusion when there is a concentration difference is high. And when the uniformity almost attains, the diffusion rate decreases, and when equilibrium is attained, the diffusion is stopped. So, when there is a concentration difference, rate of diffusion is highest. The second factor which affects diffusion is the mass or the size of solute molecules. That is, if the size of the molecule is large, it is difficult for these molecules to cross across the membrane. So, the rate of diffusion is less. So, when the molecule size is small, the rate of diffusion will be more. So, we can conclude that by saying higher is the diffusion rate when a particle is small, and slower is the diffusion rate when the particle size is larger. The next factor is temperature. So as the temperature increases, the rate of diffusion increases. So this is because when the temperature increases, the molecules attain more energy. So since the molecules has more energy at high temperature, it can move faster. So as the rate of temperature increases, the rate of diffusion can also increase. So the next factor which affects diffusion is solvent density. That is, when the solvent is more dense, that is, when the density of the solvent is more, it is difficult for the solute molecules to move around. So this is a main reason in cytoplasm. That is, when the cytoplasm density is more, it is difficult for the molecules and even gases to move. So as the density of the solvent increases, the diffusion rate decreases. So the last factor which affects diffusion is the surface area and thickness of the biological membrane. That is, as the surface area increases, it increases the mobility of the molecule. That is, as surface area increases, the diffusion rate also increases. But as the thickness of the biological membrane increases, it decreases the diffusion rate. So these are the factors affecting diffusion. Diffusion is an important process because in the process of respiration, the gases, that is the CO2, reaches the blood by process of diffusion. Similarly, in the case of plants, the water from the soil is being taken up by the root hairs by diffusion. So the movement of ions across the neurons, that is that which generate the electric charge, is due to diffusion. So diffusion is a very important process.